Hey, welcome into the podcast. That's Keith. This is Jay. How's it going, Keith? How you doing today? PartsCountyGurus.com. We're here for you.
How you doing, Jay?
I'm fine, man. It's all this stuff you've got hanging around there, man. You looks like you've been to a swag conference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? What's that on top of your head there? What does that say?
This is my normal everyday appearance.
Oh, dang old, man. I tell you what. Hey, what's going on, man? You had an exciting weekend, huh?
Memorial Day weekend is just recently over. And I went to the Charlotte Motor Speedway 60th running of the Coca-Cola 600. And the day before on Saturday was the Alsco 300.
Awesome.
So there's that.
How lucky, man.
And you made a joke on our podcast episode. It was a previous episode that we titled NASCAR, where we got in and talked about NASCAR.
Right.
And I really had very little exposure to NASCAR, which we talked about. Mm-hmm. And you did the hat switch thing.
Was I spot on? Was I spot on with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a joke.
No,
it's
man.
not. It's not.
It's not a joke.
So we'll get into this in a little bit. This is getting hot, though.
It's called sponsor obligation.
We started with some VIP access to the General Tire area in the booth and all their stuff.
What a great hat.
And then this was the Coca-Cola 600 over Memorial Day weekend. And it's the digital camo with the troops. There was a lot of military personnel there. They all got a hat. So this was worn in the winner circle. And then I was a guest of Toyota. So see if I can do this. So at the end of the race, these were handed out to everyone in Victory Lane. And If you don't believe me, it says so right there.
That's killer. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
So we'll get into
that. So you
got
if you're going to, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this question. Was that your first ever NASCAR race that you've ever attended?
In person, yes.
Wow. Man, you just got spoiled. You know, that's just one of those things. Yeah, I mean, similar thing happened to me. I'd never been to the Indianapolis 500 of my first, Look at that. Look at you with your, you've got a whole wardrobe.
I was in the Toyota suite.
Yeah.
They shuffled us around everywhere.
Yeah.
We were in the pavilion. Went down to the owner's area. I was the only. No, that's not true. There were only two of us that were current owners of Toyota products, and the other guys we got in and they fed us and So I got one piece of news, sort of. That's all I've really got, and then if you're okay with it, we'll kind of get into this. I want to kind of take you through my experience because I've never done this before.
That's what I want to do because I've been actually kind of waiting for this podcast. We haven't really, for those of you, Keith and I do communicate often, but when he was out remotely, with this opportunity, it kind of, for obvious reasons, you can't really get out and text people and send images like you would want to. Plus, you're busy and you're trying to collect all the information you can as well as enjoy the experience. So we haven't really had the opportunity to talk about the whole experience. So that's what this podcast is going to be about today, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear about the whole thing. So let's roll. Live from PartsCounterGuru.com news.
So the news is brought to you today by, the list would probably be shorter of who it isn't brought to you by, because it gets so ridiculous. But okay, so in our previous podcast, I just wanted to kind of follow up on something with the one that we talked about, NASCAR. And NASCAR has admittedly had a lot of problems with attendance, ratings on television lately. They're doing some cool stuff at Charlotte Motor Speedway to try and address that. And I just checked before this podcast. They have not yet released, that I could find, the attendance results. Now, the ratings may be out there. I'm not sure. That it was on, I believe it was on Fox. Actually, I know it was on Fox. And have not watched it yet. I'm just getting settled in. I watched it in person, but haven't seen the televised broadcast. But they were up. This is encouraging. They were up 10% in early ticket sales before the weekend started.
Okay.
So some of the things that they're doing is, now some of this costs more, but if you're willing to pay, they will let you down into pit row. They will let you have access to the drivers. They're bringing everybody out on the infield before the race starts, and you can literally go down there and touch the cars. And
oh, what a great experience!
Yeah. I mean, it's, they're doing some pretty cool things to try to get people into it.
Well, that's what we had spoken of in our previous podcast about this, is the fact that, what can NASCAR do to enhance that experience, to bring people back into the track and bring attendance up and get ratings up on television. So it's still an exciting sport. I mean, I watched the majority of the race, and it was just exciting as you could expect. A lot of fun. So
sorry, had to get my sponsor hat.
Ooh,
okay,
yeah, you got to get that
right. So
you don't have a Coke handy? You don't have a Coke handy?
Almost. I almost did.
Oh.
I've had too much caffeine already today, though, so I had to. So, anything, it really is, and I think to some extent it's been this way for a long time, but it is a weekend event. There is stuff going on. We had track officials tell us there was nothing going on, and we showed up and there was stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
From little kids races, I've got some pictures of that, on a little mini track on the infield, to concerts, to the fan zone stuff. It is Disney World for car enthusiasts. Regardless of whether you're into the racing itself or not, it is a great time.
Now, when did they open for this particular event? Was it Friday? You could bring your RVs
we were
in
told that, and some of this I'm still digging into, and we'll get into this in a few minutes, but I was told that they had an all-star race there the weekend before, so some people showed up and never left for that.
Yeah.
But typically 2 to 3 days before things start. Now, we were told there wasn't anything on Friday, but they started having stuff on Thursday. And then the big race, the 600, was Sunday night of, before Memorial Day on Monday.
Right, and it's been that way for I don't know how long, where you would have earlier in the day, you'd have the Indianapolis 500.
Yep.
And then you have the Charlotte race.
And it was on in our suite, and we Cheap Trick was playing down on the field. I would have much rather
Wow, Cheap Trick. Wow, that's a great. They're
Lee
Hall
Greenwood
of Famers.
Showed up and did the
Hall of Famers.
And the guy had his 4-neck or 5-neck guitar.
Oh yeah, Rick Nielsen.
Yeah,
Rick Nielsen. Yeah, and he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you go to Chicago, he actually has a pizza restaurant that's called Peace.
Okay.
And appropriately spelled Peace. And it's the pie is shaped like a peace sign. It's pretty cool, and it's not your typical Chicago style pizza. And there's that big argument on what's a typical Chicago style. Is that real thick deep dish, style, just loaded and piled on high, or is it the flat square pizza,
Right.
And his is the flat, thinner crust, but really, really good. And they also brew some beers there, but neat little spot. So anyway, sorry.
And no, I'm a big. That's my personal favorite style of pizza. So
yeah, mine as well. I'm not I'm not huge into the super thick crust. I like thinner the better. I'm going. Yeah.
So can you see kind of what I've got up on screen here?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let's just take this is sort of what I'm thinking. I am and have been for a very long time a race fan, but I have never gone to a NASCAR race in person. And I wanted to sort of share some things that I learned for our listeners that maybe haven't done this or they're curious about it. And then you longtime fans of NASCAR, I will bet you if you stick with this, you're gonna find out some things that you maybe didn't know. Just through my show and tell here as well. So does that sound like a good plan of attack?
That's perfect. I think this is going to be a great experience for our listeners.
All right, so this little deal you're looking at on the right there, that's actually a screenshot of my phone. Again, we were guests of Toyota, so Toyota sent us. They required us to give email, cell phone number, DNA sample, all that. But basically, about a week before, I started getting messages on my phone like this to kind of fire me up, and I thought, no better way to. It surprises me who this quote was from, but no better way to start this little show off with a quote from one of the former drivers. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
My favorite.
Years ago, you used to get out and fight and run around and chase each other with a jackhammer and stuff like that. Those were the good old days. Too bad that's not what the sponsors want.
It's true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's great, man.
So, and we'll get into a little bit of that too, because I think that just might tie into how NASCAR saves itself if they pay attention to that.
Right.
So the first thing that I noticed that I had absolutely zero expectation of was the massive amounts of RV parks around this racetrack. Now, I've been to Indy. It's not that way in Indy. This is all you're looking at right now. This is all outside the track. You can camp in the infield as well. And it just goes on forever, man. I mean,
that's incredible.
I've never seen this many RVs in one place. Now, and this is right here, that's a dealer. Like, so there's a guy down here that's like selling them, and servicing them or whatever.
So inside the park, you physically have a dealership and a service center.
Well, there's no dealer in. No. That's outside. That's what you're looking at. That surrounds the park.
That surrounds the park. Okay, gotcha. But within that area, you have a service center and everything.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
that's all. Yeah.
Well, why not? Capitalize on the fact that you got so many RVs in one spot at one time. You're going to have, ultimately someone who's having issues and they need some professional help. So that's a great thing to have, and it's pretty handy. Yeah.
So our first clue, so that was the drive up, and I just had to sort of hang my head out a window like the dog and just, take video because I was just blown away at all the RV spots. Then we show up. This was our first clue of how the rest of the weekend was going to go. They have, you remember these, the modular classrooms that they put behind schools? You've been in those, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Portables is what we used to call them.
Yeah. Portable class or whatever, right? And so that's sort of their will call. So we show up, we go in there, and we're showing them our, screenshot with the QR code and all that on our phone. And the lady goes, "Oh, no. You go to the trailer behind us, you're with NASCAR."
Oh.
And we all looked at each other and went, "Oh, okay." So,
all right.
So NASCAR shows up with their own tractor trailer, and you can see it right there. That's us with our hot passes.
That's great,
passes.
man. Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And the lady, I mean, we were just, the lady in the trailer, she was like, "Oh, your first time? Well, here, let me go take your picture." So she comes out and, she takes that shot.
Knew you know why she knew it was your first time? Because you had your baseball team hat on.
Right.
Who wears a baseball hat to a NASCAR race?
Well,
come on, man.
It was all I had at the time.
Well, you know what? You're going to have a Parts Counter Guru's hat the next time.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So I'll have to start showing up as so. And I guess I should clarify, because you're probably wondering, like, well, how did we get this? How did we get these tickets? How did we get this access?
Yeah, I asked that earlier, and I apologize for not bringing it back up.
It's all right. It's all right. So this is what I think we should do. If we get 500 subscribers on our YouTube channel by the end of June, so let's just say by July 1st, 2019, I will reveal how I did it.
Okay.
And the process can be recreated. But I will tell you this, you cannot buy these tickets. This is not, you can't go to StubHub or some scalper or the official channel and just buy what we had. It's
Right.
not. It doesn't work that way. You can
Right,
buy
it's
tickets and you can get great tickets, but you're not going to get some of the stuff that you're about to see.
Right. So ultimately, your tickets, your package included a lot of things that the average goer or fan, unless you're able to get in like you did,
Yeah.
you won't even experience that.
Oh, like it literally, and I mean this. There was no place that we could not go. No place.
That's unheard of unless you're...
maybe
yeah.
if you wanted to go, well, sure, you couldn't go into Denny Hamlin's personal bathroom. Well, yeah, duh. But I mean,
You can't go into the trailers and talk to the driver. That sort of stuff.
but you could. We went into the garages. We went into the pits.
Yeah.
We went. He came to us.
Yeah.
He did.
Which
He
was,
came up to our suite and talked to us for a little bit.
which was pretty cool, man. That's
And
very
I told him he couldn't use my bathroom. But yeah. Now maybe the one exception to that was we had to have an escort into the victory circle.
Okay.
I had to get. We could go, but we had the security there was so tight that we had they didn't even look at your credentials like that at that point doesn't matter. You're
once
not
you
getting
pass
in.
once you pass a certain stage, they know you're legit and you're okay.
Right. It's either you're vouched for with you have an escort, like somebody that's in that group, or you're not getting in. They don't care what kind of lanyard you're wearing. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah. So okay, so one of the cool things that I discovered is now these are little cars. These are kids that race these things that you're looking at here, and they have a couple different classes, and a lot of them are motorcycle engines. The two bigger ones here are Briggs and Stratton engines. The black one and the one with the American flag and the checkered flag on it. Those are Briggs and Stratton.
Do you recall what the horsepower was on those?
I
like
don't.
a 12 or something?
Yeah, it's but
or are they specifically built for that
they're-
category of racing or something?
Well, we're about to research this because
Or are they modified for?
I showed these pictures to my wife and I called her and told her about it, and she goes, and I almost hit the floor. She goes, we should look into what it takes to do that for our son, because she's terrified of him. He's got this. He's got it. He's got the gene. He loves to race. He loves to race more than I love to race.
Wow, man.
And I thought for sure, because she's always worried like that's just going to be his career choice. And she was like, yeah, let's see what it takes to get him into it. So,
well, and he kind of put himself in there. He
so,
loves everything automotive, and that's great.
I have a feeling we'll be able to find an answer to that question pretty quickly.
Right.
And if you know, drop us a note on partscounterguru.com. There's an Ask Us a Question section, and you can you can let us.
Did you just mention this, or maybe I missed it? Is there a specific what is the racing league that those cars race in?
Yeah, I should know this. There are two that we saw.
Yeah.
One of them looked like little ZZ Top rat rod roadsters, and then the other one.
That's cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I can't think of it, but yes, there are specific leagues and
age limits. You have to be age requirement. Heights. Is there heights and age?
Well,
yeah.
Probably? I mean, you just they're small. The cars are small. Like you got to be able to fit in them. But
right on.
The infield there you can see, and they've got the kind of track cleaning. That white truck, it almost looks like a Zamboni truck. That was the loop that these little cars took. It was just a little, that infield is actually bigger than a football field. It's deceptively large. But
now what's the length of this track again?
1.5.
1.5 mile and a half.
And that's the outside track. It's not an oval, but that's the oval.
Yeah, it's a semi-oval. If you will,
it's actually a really well thought. Like I love it. It's got some bank turns. It's got partial oval into another partial oval.
Yeah.
And there are more than just 4 turns on the track, so it does require. And man, there were 3 wide situations everywhere. all over the track all day. There were parts everywhere, all over the track all day. It was insane. I mean, there was carnage just beyond belief.
When I started watching the coverage on it, of course, Michael Waltrip had him on the track on that particular turn. It's like the last turn coming into the stretch. Yeah. That's where all the accidents had been happening all weekend.
And that's where I sat.
It's extremely steep right there.
Yep.
And he said that it's pretty bumpy right there. So
it is.
So all weekend, the back ends of those rides were getting loose and getting into the wall, and they were showing some of the footage of it.
Oh, man. They were.
And temperature plays into that. And all that stuff,
It was hotter than average. It was in the 90s all weekend. They would do was they would cook their tires. They would be running up against, a few inches from the wall. They would pop a tire. They would go into the wall because they'd, lose stability.
Right.
They would hammer the brakes. The brake line would burst. It would catch fire. And now you got a nice little tire fire on the front, passenger side up against the wall. That happened more times than I could count this weekend.
Yeah, I saw the one image you sent with the tire pretty smoked up on that right side.
Oh, it burned the whole side of the car
up. I can't imagine what those pit guys must go through. I mean, you see them working their butts off, but it's so dangerous. But they are so well prepared when they come into the pits, man. They can do just about anything, man.
It was surreal to watch.
I'm sure.
So there's the lip. Now those are the motorcycle engines that you're looking at in these little cars here, and they're just little one-seaters,
and that's the inside oval.
Yeah. Yes.
There
they go. Just you can hear all the spark arrest, fuel, excess blowing off every time they let off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like they sound like little motorcycles. It's kind of cool.
God, that would be fun to be in one of those.
Yeah. Several times they brought four-wheelers, quads out onto the track to kickstart.
When I was a kid, I raced go-karts a little bit. Not anything big or anything, just amateur stuff. But it was a lot of fun. They were dirt tracks.
Right.
A lot of fun. My dad actually built my first go-kart. He welded it all together, and anyway.
Well, now there's some of that going on.
Had a chainsaw engine on the back of that thing too. By the way.
And they have a dirt track at this complex across the way.
That's awesome.
So I referenced a little bit earlier. I mean, it's kind of like Disney World for car enthusiasts. This is the fan zone. You've seen these, I'm sure, like many, many times. But
yes,
Toyota was there. Obviously, GM was there. Ford was there. There's some pretty cool aftermarket stuff there. Team sponsors are there. I mean, it's just... Now, this was before the fan zone opened. We were just driving by, and I just had to, again, hang my head out the window like a dog and just, But, yeah, that in itself is a concrete jungle theme park. It's just... Yeah. It's just everywhere, man. There's just stuff everywhere.
Isn't it amazing how much goes into an event like this? And, people wonder why ticket prices are so high. You know, and that right there validates, the cost of the ticket. I mean, if you're not in for the whole experience, then it's really a waste of your money, I think.
Yeah.
If you're in for the whole experience, then go take advantage of it. And gosh, what fun! Stay the whole weekend and take it all in.
Just the exposure. And by the way, you don't even have to have a ticket to go into the fan zone.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty nice.
It's outside the stadium. You could just walk over there.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, the stuff that we got to see, as you're looking at one of the Mountain Dew Chevrolet here, or as you would say, Chevrolet, but we got to see the new 1500 Z71 Trail Boss. That's their big
truck,
Overland. Yeah. It is. It's cool. And we met one of the ladies there with GM who... Now, I've done enough of these events. I'm like, okay, come on. They just hired you for the weekend, and you're here to look pretty and start the car, and that's about it. Oh no. She's worked in Michigan for 12 years with General Motors for 20.
Wow. Okay, so she's not there just to hand out flyers. She knows exactly what's going on.
And we're asking well, you're about to see here. They had the LR1 Camaro. I think I'm saying that right. which is the top of the line performance package, right?
Right.
And we got questions left and right, and she was just like, I think first of all, she loved that we knew what we were talking about, and they were intelligent questions, and because I think she got a whole lot of, hey baby, can you show me under the hood? You know, probably for the weekend. And we were like, I'm kind of kicking myself for not getting her email address to correspond with her for some parts counter stuff later. But so this is one of my friends. She'll be there next year. Yeah, right. This is that Camaro that we were talking about. It's amazing to me that they could get that. Is it the LT one or the LR one? I may have messed that up, but that thing's sideways sitting in under the hood there, and it's jammed all the way back as far as they could get it.
Wow.
So so here's they're just showing you some of the parts that go into it, and then this is my favorite. I'm not sure if you can hear this or not, but this is one of my friends who he's a truck guy, and what he had to say about this car says a lot.
Well, I love what they're.
This is ridiculous. You know what I like about this? And I'm sure it looks totally different when you turn it on, but it's really simple looking. But I know when this, like, I don't know if you can tell, but the entire center of the dash is a giant screen.
Well, it has a heads-up display, I think.
Yeah, and it's got gauges on each side and then this huge screen, and then you have heads-up right here.
It's got the HUD,
Yeah. Damn. But it's simple. It's not like, ooh, look at all the spins.
Paddle shifters where are they?
Right here.
Are they right there? Okay.
Damn. All right, sign me up.
Yeah, I think he was impressed.
Yeah, slightly. You know what's nice about this? What they did with this is everything they're showing the components of the vehicle. You know, the racing technology that goes into it. You know, I showed that from a previous shot. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome. So is this the engine that this is the NASCAR?
Yeah. So
engine.
This is last year's engine. Now they're 200 horsepower less, I think, this year.
Okay. This is the R07.
Well, actually, that's showing 725 horsepower. I know that they had a horsepower reduction recently. So I don't think that's the... I think they're using a different engine this year. That was the 2018 model that you're looking at.
Right. Yes, it is. Yeah,
that's it, man.
The R07. Yeah, nice. That's a lot of meat, man.
They're just putting it out there. Like, you just want to go touch it and look at it. There it is. You know, that's the one in the NASCAR.
Right.
And, Toyota's got to be Toyota, so, they show up and put their car on the roof spinning around. That's Kyle Busch's car, I think, from last year, if I'm not mistaken.
That is, yes. That is.
And so, now I got to say, like, Toyota is just dominating in this, and I mean, they showed up and they were like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to spend the money to win. We're not going to spend the money to show up. We're going to spend the money to win.
Right.
And that's what they're doing, man.
Well, you had two. You had the winner was Toyota, and then you had the third place. Kyle Busch finished third.
Yep.
And 17th was Denny.
Yeah. Well, that was really sad what happened to him. He was a contender all the way up until the last lap, and then tire pop, wall, limped across the finish line.
Yeah, but Truex, I mean, early on in that race, man, it didn't look too promising because he blew a tire in the first stage, didn't he?
Right. Yeah.
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 He came back and
I will say this about these races. They are way. It's almost like basketball. You watch a professional basketball game, and it ends up being like at the end the score is like 100 to like 97, or 110 to 112.
Right.
And it's like, well, why didn't we just have a 5-minute game if it's just going to be a 2-point spread the whole time, right? I mean, you kind of get that. There's so many restarts. There's so many yellow flags because of accidents and wrecks and parts and tires and as many restarts as there are. Every time that happens, somebody new gets in front.
Right.
And go ahead.
There's so much that goes into it, though. I mean, every time you have a flag, a yellow flag, a wreck, or whatever, you go through those stages, it changes each team's strategy on how they're going to win this race. I mean, it for every action, there's a reaction.
Yep.
In this sport, that's the way it works. I mean, you're coming down to tire changes. When do we change tires? Which tires? What the track temperature is. What's the outside air temperature? How much fuel do we have left? What are we running on our temperature? What's our operating temperature right now? All of those things. Those guys, those crew chiefs. Oh man, they're rocket scientists in my opinion. The math that goes into what they're doing is incredible.
Well, now I'm a big baseball fan. And one of the things that I love about the sport of baseball is the amount of strategy that has to go into it, especially later in the game, but in general, just all the time.
That's right.
So there was a gentleman that sat next to me for the entire race on Sunday that was a fantastic teacher, and he was commenting to me on some of these crew chief decisions and what he thought maybe was a bad choice, what was a good choice, what was questionable, and all that. Now, this guy, he sort of looked like a cross between, he had the glasses on, and I can't see you right now because of what I've got up on my screen, but he had your glasses on, okay, that you started the podcast
my shades.
with. Yep, indoors. He had kind of a skinny older guy, a little scrappy, kind of blue collar, and he was clearly very intelligent, real intellectual, just real dark, dry humor, witty. And for a while, we were all like, "Who is this guy?" Because he kind of looks like he had an element of just don't give a rip, looks like he was wearing the socks that he got on his 18th birthday from he was all of probably 70 years old now.
What do you mean? Kind of like an average dude, right?
Average dude, but there was this weird super smart element, and then and then there was mixed in with that sort of I don't care, and then we kind of noticed that the staff, because we had kind of our own wait staff in the suite, they were treating him like royalty. And then the lady says, "Mr. Bush, would you like another Diet Coke?" And that's when we figured out that it was Kyle Busch's dad. So he and I sat there. He kept I had a big camera lens with me to go, "Hey, zoom in for me on the front of that car right there and tell me, look at the air splitter and see if it's broken," or I mean. We just sat there and talked the whole time. We were just watching the show together, right?
Wow, what a good thing to have happen. To be sitting right next to somebody that can really give you the details.
Right. Here is the suite. This is coming off the elevators. Up obviously at the top part of the stadium. Yeah, right here. I'll be right back. And we just kind of hallway that runs around the outside. And we've all seen these before at sporting events. It's you got your own air-conditioned private room. You can see there Toyota clearly is making the world know that it's theirs, right? And then there you go. There's the crew. There's some more Toyota crew. They set up a big meal spread there on that back counter. You got 3 TVs in the room. You got a bar over there.
Yeah.
And then you got kind of movie theater stadium seating down here. And there you can see that's our view of the track, right? Look at all those RVs.
Incredible. Look at that.
I mean, the whole infield is just full of, which Mr. Bush said, I think his first name's Tom, said, that's a good sign because it has not been that way in recent years.
Wow. Isn't this something, man, that here we were talking, a month or so, 2 months ago about, NASCAR and the attendance and what they need to do. And here you have the dad of one of the drivers who's been around the sport probably all his life.
Or
most of his adult life.
Yeah, he's sitting there telling me Well, here's the year that you couldn't go into the showroom and buy one anymore, and
Right.
Probably his whole life, right?
Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, that's neat that you have that opportunity to sit right next to the guy and pick his brain. That's great.
So then because we had field access anytime we wanted and pit access. So I walked down to the field.
All right, I get a 360.
And I wanted to get a shot of our...
Here, we're down here on the track.
We're right above the tunnel.
And our box is here.
Yeah. And if you ever couldn't find your booth, you just look for the big giant Toyota sign on the track.
Gotcha. Yeah, no problem.
Conveniently right above the Toyota
and there's
sign.
There's the crew.
The gang.
Yeah. Now this is the amount of... They're limited to the amount of tires they can have. You know that.
Yes.
They all use the same tires.
Mm-hmm.
And this is hard work. These guys are down there before the race, cleaning the tires, measuring the tires. They're not all the same size. Some of them they're all supposed to be the same size, but there's minor variations, and so they'll mark that.
Right. All of this has to be reported to NASCAR before they get rolling.
It's 95 degrees out, and they're sitting there trying to find a shady spot to do this. It's
These guys are. I mean, what do you think when you were in the pits down there? What do you think the temperature was? The actual air temperature was when you were there?
Well, with the hot with the asphalt, I'd say it was 95 to 100 easy.
Yeah. I had spoken with my dad earlier in the day, and it was 105 where he was at.
Yeah.
It was a little further south, so it was pretty darn hot. I know it was. So here they are prepping the lug nuts.
Yeah, so they glue them onto the wheel in the perfect spot so that they don't cross thread when they quickly. We've all seen the famous pit change, right, where they jack it up and within about 10. It's 12 seconds, right? They've got all 4 tires changed, and right with the air ratchet, you hear the. Well, that guy's just literally. It's got to be perfect, because if it's not, you're gonna cross thread them and you're gonna have tire issues. So they glue them in place.
Yep. And you have one little issue with that process, it throws the whole thing off.
You're coming back through. You're doing once around and coming back.
Right down to the jack that they put under the car to get it up in 2. Whoom, it's up in the air, and it has to make that clearance in order for them to perform their duty properly. Man, it's amazing what goes into these things with these guys.
Yeah, they're a well-tuned machine. So we got our first eyes on a Supra. They were using the Supra for the pace car in the Alsco 300. The day before. That was Saturday. There it is right there. A lot of conversation around this car, and a lot of interest in sort of what you and I have talked about on previous podcasts, with it being a BMW chassis. Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that. And I was talking to my friends about it, and they said, well, that definitely makes it a little bit more interesting in terms of what Toyota's vision is for this. But Toyota wasted no time in getting this car out in front of the public, and the Toyota that runs in this 300 series is the Supra. It's badged as the Supra.
Right, and we brought that up as well.
Yeah, there. Look, man, you can tell right there. I was standing in the pits filming, like right there in the pits. Look, there's a pit sign up to the top right where.
That's great.
They just let me walk. You could go anywhere that you didn't have to have safety clearance for. So, meaning, I couldn't go over the pit wall and onto the track.
That's great. That is awesome. Right here first, folks, inside information from partscounterguru.com. Nice, Keith.
Yeah, so there's one of the Xfinity cars. They're just pushing it. This was before the race. That's or after the race. It wasn't during the race.
That sir, would be a Mustang, yes.
So so there's your Supra charging through the pits. That was the official pace car for. Now the Camry was still the pace car for the 600.
Right.
They have not changed that.
Do you expect? Was there any speculation on when we might see the Supra actually end up into the Cup Series?
If they're going to do it, they would probably do it next year.
Gotcha.
But I don't think they will do it.
Yeah.
Because they would like to sell more Camrys than Supras, I think.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yep.
So it turns out there were 2 of them, just in case, right? And
did you drive one?
I did not. But I did. These were corralled off behind a security gate, and I walked up to the lady, and I just went, I'm not going through the gate. I'm not trying to breach security here. I'm just going to take a couple pictures. And she went, go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, nice, man.
But if you're not back in 5 minutes, we're coming for it.
We're coming for you.
There was
I'm just
nobody there.
Assuming. Oh, I'm just assuming though, with looking at these two Supras, that really the only thing they've done is they've thrown the decals on and the pace car lights, and that's it. So these are stock Supras.
That's the high end Supra, but yes, that's correct. You could go buy that car right now.
That's awesome. That's a great looking automobile. It's a great looking ride.
So, big tribute weekend to our troops. Obviously, Memorial Day weekend is all about that.
Yes.
They wheeled out a bunch of cool military vehicles onto the field. You can see the stage off to the left there where they're setting up for Cheap Trick. And here in a few minutes, this is just going to be crawling with people. But if you look to the right, fans are down there signing the start-finish, right? Like you just pull a Sharpie out and go sign your name.
That's great.
And this lady is, remember the wrestler Ric Flair?
Yes, I do, man.
This is Charlotte Flair, who drove one of those Supras as the official pace car driver.
Oh, wow.
And she was down on the field talking about who she is. And I don't follow WWE, but I knew who her dad is, and so it helped me make the connection.
He's way back with the WWF.
Yeah.
And I remember him as like Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah.
Blackjack Mulligan.
Yeah.
All those guys. Yeah. I have to admit, I watched a little wrestling back when I was a young
or
guy.
as my family used to call it, wrastling.
Wrestling.
Yeah. So I just went down and walked around on the infield. You can see there she is up on the stage, but I just wanted to give you a view of kind of what it's like down there.
So what's the latest WWE
Did you get a capacity?
information? What's the latest news coming out of there?
I did not. I think it was at capacity, but I don't know what that number is.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you say 8?
No, 9.
She said 9 times.
What an experience.
So when I win it again, that'll be 10 times.
10 times. When is this going to happen?
Hopefully Tuesday night on SmackDown.
Tuesday night on SmackDown.
So the amazing thing about that is there's so
Everybody
much going
behave,
on,
behave.
and there's so many
She's a
people
9-time
there
champ.
that
She'll give you
not
a
all of
flippin'
them were in
scoop.
one area at the same time. So if you wanted to go watch her, you go watch her. If you wanted to go watch
Yeah,
Cheap Trick,
just a figure
I mean,
eight
they have
to the side
coordinated
out.
events where it's the center of attention, but there's so much stuff going on that not everyone in that entire stadium was at any one place at the same time.
Did you by chance download an app for your phone for seeing what those events were and what times and schedules?
They have that. We were handed printed versions of that because we had kind of the white glove treatment, but I did see a lot of people using those apps.
Right, and I bring that up because I think it's important that, if you're going to go to these races, if you don't already know, just about any of these things, you can download an app to get the full scope of what's actually going on. That way you don't miss anything. And you really have to hustle probably from one end to the other to try to make some of these events going on. But pick your poison and move on through the.
Well, you literally every minute is usually busy. You need to plan, like if you're going to do fan zone stuff or you're going to do swag or you're going to go like look at the new Chevy or whatever. You need to find a time on that schedule that you can do that because there will be something going on. You're going to have to trade with something else to make all that happen. It's just they make it it's an event, man. There's a lot.
What would you recommend as far as preparation for, say, next year? If I'm a guy wanting to buy tickets to this event for next year, would you say go ahead and start planning now?
Oh yeah, I mean,
and then go ahead and get your hotel rooms booked.
I'm trying to figure out how to get an RV spot on the infield, and those are very coveted, as we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, there are. And there's another race here in the fall where they use the road course, so they call it the Roval. It's a combination road course and oval.
Okay.
Where it will not go all the way around the outside. They will go the back half, so turns like 3 and 4 and 5 will be the oval, and then the front half will be inside that infield.
Okay.
It'll be a road course. So it's a different race in the fall.
Yeah.
So these guys
great.
here, the three in the top right are, they were tasked with clearing the way for the rest of the troop carriers to even in combat to sort of get where they needed to go, whether it was they had to get a bridge across or they had to level some ground. The guy in the middle is a medic, and we just talked to him for a few minutes. You can see the guys down there on the left taking pictures and signing the track.
Sure.
There's a Marine.
Huge presence. Yeah.
She's signing her name on the racetrack.
These guys are out of Camp Lejeune, no doubt.
Well, they're from everywhere. Like they're all pretty local, but some of them the first time they met each other was right there, on the infield. That's
pretty cool. The military has always had a huge presence.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to sporting events. It's a great opportunity to pay our respects to those guys.
Yeah, well, and you can see there, that was the opening ceremonies with the flags, and then each driver had the name of a fallen veteran on their windshield.
Right.
Which sort of harkens back to Ricky Bobby, where remember they put the big Fig Newtons logo all the way across. It wasn't like that, but it did remind me of that. In the, I love Fig Newtons, but this is can't really see out the windshield. I forget how he said that.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
I
remember that very well. Hilarious.
So, and then they bring all the cars out. This is something we were talking about earlier. This is what NASCAR is doing now. You can walk up to those cars and touch them. And take a look at them, and you got to pay for that access. You got to pay for the pit pass, but they'll let you do it.
That's great. Wow, what an amazing event!
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, this was the flyby, and it is remarkable. They used troop helicopters. These guys are like 100 feet off the ground, circling the track.
Amazing.
I mean, they don't care. Like they're just doing it, man. I mean, get out of the way, right? Like, like here in a second, you see them. I mean, they're all hanging out the window, and they flew right in front of our suite, and they're waving at us, and they're at our eye level. I mean, it was surreal. It was.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know what that thing weighs, but it's just in your face.
Yeah, very maneuverable.
Yeah, well, there it is.
You
there
have
you
to
go.
be. You gotta be able to land it on a dime. So,
and then they're about to fast rope out of that, which I know they do all the time at this race. But you see that it sort of blows your mind.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
look
at these guys. They're just they don't care, man.
Yeah.
Feet hanging out. They're just like sure, whatever.
Yeah, they're strapped in. They've got some sort of harness on them, but yeah, I'm sure they do. Oh, this guy had too much.
Well, there's so much to do that it is probably a little bit too much for some folks, as you can see there. This guy's he's done.
He'd had a little bit too much fun today.
Yeah, too much something.
Yeah, too much something.
So there's your buddy.
Oh,
big tribute to him
boogity.
because he's retiring. Yeah, and that was on the big jumbo screen the whole race. That down there at the bottom where it says "Thank you, DW."
That's great. You have sound on these videos you're showing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
when I'm not hearing them.
No, when I post the podcast, there'll be sound with it.
Yeah, this is great.
But I've decided that Darrell Waltrip is kind of like the Tim McCarver of baseball. Everybody knows that he was great, and he's a veteran athlete from his era. But when you put him on camera and on the mic, he's kind of turns into the village idiot, and
right.
He's there for comedic relief, so to speak. He's the rodeo clown.
Yeah, he brings a little extra color to the
I would say
to
so.
the whole call of the race. Yeah, between him and his brother, right? Yeah. So, hey, if you don't see his star on your car, you better call ODW.
Come see ODW. Yeah. So they have, of course, it wouldn't be a NASCAR without something for the fans. And they put a Circle K there right in the middle of the infield. And it is a full-blown convenience store minus the gas pumps.
Just in case you get hangry.
Oh, man. It's, like, we just couldn't get over it. Like, we were just laughing and, like, what the heck? And then we were like, well, this is a great idea. Let's go get, like,
let's go get a Coca-Cola.
well, here you
from
go,
Circle
man.
K.
Look, I'll take you right inside. This is, they got their beer fridges. I'm stocked. Snacks, everything you want. Fruit. Like, it's a gas station, quick store right there.
Wow. It's a city, man. It truly becomes a little city, and everything at your convenience.
Yep. So, do you know about these? Do you know about the Fan Vision?
I do. Never used one or anything like that, but I understand that the actual Fan Vision, what you rent them, right? You rent them there.
Yeah, you can
right?
rent them now. Toyota, again, took care of us just because they were amazing. But these were provided by Toyota. You can see that one on the right bottom there's got the Toyota logo. So you can set up to 3 drivers that you want to follow specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Now you
in
can
real time.
You can see the stats for everybody, but it will give you a closer look on up to 3.
Right.
Including every bit of their radio channel communications from the driver to and from the pit crew.
Right. But that's only on the selected that you've selected.
But
Not
you
all
can
of them,
change
but
them.
just-
Like if
you
I
can
wanted
change
to
them,
listen to Truex, I could switch to his, and then I could go back and add Hamlin as one of my 3 and get rid of Truex. I mean, it was up to you. It could just only handle up to 3 at a time.
Now you're getting spotter. You're getting spotter radio.
You're getting all of it. Oh yeah,
transaction,
It was
everything.
amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Like
and once in a while NASCAR will pipe in too.
They're telling you like his spider would tell him where the guy is behind him in terms of car links and position on the track, lane position. They would talk race lines. You would hear the driver say things like, this time when I pit, I want Gatorade, not water. But then they're talking about mechanical stuff, and it's just and apparently Kyle Busch has previously had a little bit of an issue with how should we say, keeping it clean on the airwaves.
Yeah. Right.
So
they have to be. You have to be very careful.
Well,
with
there's
that.
kids listening to this, so
sure there is. Yeah.
There's a lot of God bless Americas. I think that was supposed to mean something else.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure that. And I would assume that that's insert here for everything, right?
Right.
Yep. I get you. This is so cool because the fans get these things, man. I mean, we talked about strategy earlier. You can get in on the strategy, and if you're following these 3 drivers and you're sticking with them, and the information that they give you is enough to kind of understand the strategy that they need to take to finish this race and win this race.
Yeah. Well, and you can
so
switch
cool.
back and forth to the actual sports announcers feed. Where they're like, you could just go listen to them if you wanted to, kind of what the fans would hear on television.
Yeah.
So I mean, you had access to everything, man. You could drill into lap times and just keep, and it's charting all of that for you.
Yeah.
And
position. Highest position, lowest position. Yeah. It's pretty darn cool, man. You got the leaderboard. Wow, just what a fun experience for a fan.
Well, and I will tell you, and I'm sure there will be a consequence for this, but he got very frustrated towards the end of the race, and Kyle Busch let more expletives fly than I think I've ever heard out of anyone within about a minute 30-second window.
Right.
It was it was entertaining.
Yeah, I guess the officials will handle that between him and his team. Yeah.
So I'm sure. So there's Denny. He came up to the suite, talked to us a little bit. You could ask him anything you wanted. People asked him some pretty intelligent questions. It kind of reminded me of my kid. He talked about how he got into racing and what the draw was, and they love to race. That is their that's why they're doing it. The money is secondary.
Yeah, it's that competition, that need to compete, that need to go fast, that need to figure out how to get the advantage over your competitors. It's an adrenaline rush probably all the time for those guys.
Right. So here you can see, like, obviously this is our vantage point from the suite, but you can see we were talking about all the stuff they have to do. There's a Ferris wheel. I mean, they've got a little, like, there's something for everybody.
Right. That's great. I mean, but they're not leaving anything out. I mean, if you look at the age ranges of people coming to these things, and they want to, give the kids a great experience, and when the kids are having a good experience, the parents are having a good experience.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So here's some of that RV crowd in the infield. Now, this is one of the only tracks that I know of that has this kind of an accommodation for fans on the infield. Indy frequently reserves the infield for vendors, so you have to be in the park to get to their vendors a lot of time.
That's right.
Laguna Seca does not allow camping anywhere on the infield. They do have a very small campground attached to the park, to the track. Road Atlanta sort of does, but it's not.
Daytona does.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking of the tracks. Barber and Birmingham, they not on the infield. You can camp around the outside of the track.
Right.
But this is kind of a cool thing, man. It's where you want to be if you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Bush said, look right over there, right in front of you there. You see all those. Now you're looking at these are $1 million coaches, every one of them. These are top of the line Class A motorhomes. Most of them are Prevos.
These are rock band tour buses.
Yes.
Man.
And if you look at the number of air conditioners on the roof, that's usually an indication, because each person has their own climate control. He said the deal with this is you got to be on a waiting list. This is one of the only places in the infield that provides direct power for these RVs, meaning it's not coming off a generator somewhere. It is electric going into the pole. Yeah. And if you'll notice, there's a security fence around these.
I do, yeah.
So he said, you got to get on a waiting list to get in here. And he said, here, let me show you whose these are. He's like, that's Richard Petty. That one over there is Joe Gibbs, who you and I know Joe Gibbs from probably I know him from football.
Football and racing.
But he's a big racing fan. He's owns a team. In fact, Denny Hamlin, I think, is part of Joe Gibbs Racing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Denny, Kyle, Martin Truex, all these guys.
So he's got a trailer in there, and he basically said, like, somebody has to die before you're going to get for a slot to open up.
That's like Packers tickets, man.
Yeah. They got their own security guard. They got their own entrance. You're just not getting in there without it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Speed Racer was there.
Yes, I was I was excited to see that.
I mean, you just see everything, man. It works. It's got a Corvette engine in it. Guy built himself a Mach 5. Just driving it around the track.
That's great. What a fun thing to see, man. That's, there you go. If you're a kid too. I mean, not just a kid. We all know who Speed Racer is.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's your tire
comics.
fire. That was fun. That was fun to watch.
God.
Yeah.
Way to want to remove decals and paint very quickly.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's how you do it. And while you're at it, throw a couple of hot dogs on there.
Yeah. right.
Hey, in the spirit of America, yes, let's throw some dogs on there.
We got a lot of 3-wide. We got to see that all day on this track. And you got right there was a ton of accidents too. I mean, it was just crash after crash.
That's the turn that we were speaking of initially.
Real bumpy.
When we started talking about this.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun if you're not having to drive over it. But here you go, man. This is about as close as I could get. I mean, you want to know what it looks like to see a pit? There it
now,
is.
This shot here.
Yeah.
This is from that day you came down from your seat and came into the pits.
That was the 300, I think.
The 300. Okay, so you stayed in the suite for the entire race.
No, I was down in the.
You were
okay. I went down there.
Okay.
It was so
All right.
freaking hot though. It was like.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Well, and I had been in the pits enough by that point that I was like, yeah, I know what they're doing. I'll watch it from the air conditioned booth, right? Like,
right.
I want to watch the race. I don't want to watch them change tires.
Sure.
Plus, if I'm up in my
Incredible.
suite, I can hear them. You can't hear anything down there. It's so loud.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did they issue you ear protection when you went?
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, you need to bring your own, but they had them in like a candy jar. As you walk out the door, you just grab one, and
Yeah. That's a pretty loud sport, but I love it.
Oh yeah,
you can feel it.
Well, they don't use mufflers.
You feel it too,
right?
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah, it's just straight up open, man.
So right at about I think about 10 laps left. Mm-hmm. This was simultaneously one of the saddest moments and the happiest moments of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Is we had one of the Toyota people, one of the handlers, come up to us and said, "You guys want to go down to the victory circle?" When it looked like it was going to be a Toyota, one of the Toyota teams that was going to take the flag, they said, "Let's go. If you want to go, let's go." And we just sort of looked at each other and went, like, who would say no to that? Like, who?
Right.
I mean,
if you've been asked to come down to victory circle, victory lane, I'm going.
I mean, there's only 200 people in there, maybe. I mean, you'll get a look at it here in a second, but you can see this guy right here on the other side of the gate is in full tactical. He's got an AR strapped to his chest. You're not getting in there. This is the part I said, like, they don't give a rip what credentials you have hanging on your neck. Like, you better be escorted in with somebody. So, so he comes in here, and then the hat changing starts, man. We're all swapping hats for pictures every 3 minutes.
So you guys were swapping?
Yeah.
You as well?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so the hat I'm wearing now, you can see it on these guys' heads. That's a Coca-Cola 600 Troops hat. Okay?
Right.
And then when he gets out, I think that's the first one he puts on. And you can see there, like, he just blew, like, that's his coolant, I think, just shooting into the air.
Yeah, has to be, yeah.
And, they're setting the car up, and then he's, climbing out.
All the sponsors, man.
That's it.
Coca-Cola, Circle K, Monster Energy, man. It's Chevrolet, Toyota, Bass Pro Shops. It's great. I love it. And you know what? I think people don't realize how good and savvy that these drivers are in regards to PR.
Oh,
and how they deal with PR. They're very smart. Yeah.
They know. And
they do know. They know what they're supposed to do, what their obligations. My understanding is they actually do have training available. They groom these guys.
They sort of have to. I mean,
yeah.
I could only imagine, like, it's probably not Denny Hamlin's favorite thing in the world to go up into a suite, even though it's the team suite, and sit there and answer questions that he's been asked probably the same questions the week before and the week before that, the week before that, and the week before that.
Right.
But to some extent they understand the fans make it possible, and they're good with it. But yeah, they're absolutely coached. Now, back to that quote from Dale Jr. at the beginning. I sort of feel like, hockey's the same way. You go to a fight and a hockey game breaks out. I sort of feel like if they would have let a little bit more of that go on, I think they would. The fan ratings. I mean, that NASCAR has a rich history of guys duking it out. Okay,
that's what fans want.
And
I mean, that's controversy, man.
Watching these guys on the track bumping somebody in front of them, not once, not twice, but 3 times because they didn't. I'm sending a message that I don't like what you just did.
Right.
That's part of this sport, and I think you got to kind of let them do it. I think you got to, if they want to chase each other around, as Dale Jr. said, with hydraulic jacks or whatever. I think you got to kind of let them do it.
Well, it goes back to the infamous race, where those guys fought, the first, start to finish televised, Daytona 500.
Yeah.
And that's what catapulted this sport into the limelight, and it grew exponentially from there until, the last 10 years where it's kind of been declining. But this is promising that they're getting their swag back.
Well, and
Swagger back.
I'm sure Coke or Toyota or Bass Pro or whoever it is like, well, that looks bad for us because we don't want to be sending the message that if you drive a Camry you get in fights all the time. But I think people don't necessarily associate that. I think it's look, man, this sport is this isn't Formula One where if you make contact somebody's going to die. This is sometimes intentional contact, and
sure it is, and you don't want them to wreck. Your intention is not to wreck them, but sometimes that happens,
right? Yeah, I mean, I watched teammates making contact with each other.
Mm-hmm. Sure, they're all in it to win, Yeah, they're all in it to win. Well, every sport has this. Every sport. I mean, if you're, in baseball, you're going to charge the mound if the pitcher's, hitting your batter. I mean, you're going to charge the mound. It's the way it goes.
Yep.
If you take a shot at my quarterback, man, the linemen are, you better be ready. We're going to make you pay for it. In hockey, I mean, stay off the goalie, and if you don't, we're going to clean your clock.
Yeah.
I think it adds to the sport. And I think it, they need. I agree with you. I think Dale's on it. They need to let that.
Let them do it. I mean,
let them have fun. Let them play.
Yeah.
He's got to take a phone call.
What do you think? What do you think's going on here? Who do you think he's talking to?
I'm gonna say probably his wife.
I gotta go. I won.
Everybody was joking that it was the president. I don't think the president watches NASCAR, but you never know, man. Whoever it was, he took one phone call as soon as he hopped out of that car.
Right, could have been his wife, could have been the NASCAR president. Who knows? I'm going to go with. Is he married?
I don't know.
That's a good question. We need to look into that and report back.
This is the post race interview inside the winner's circle. Just kind of surreal, man, to have all these cameras pointed at you. So yeah, it was, and just we're literally just standing there listening to the interview, and then of course this happened, which was yet another hat change.
Right.
But man, this is one of those things that I probably will never ever do again. I mean, I literally turned around and touched the trophy. It was right there.
Yeah. If you're going to do it right, that's how you do it. What an experience. What an opportunity. And I'm a little jealous.
It was fun.
I'm sure it was, man. I mean, we've been talking about it now for a couple of days since you returned. So how many days total did you spend there, Keith?
We got there Friday afternoon and left out Monday afternoon.
Wow. Okay. Well, my stepdad was in town for not specifically for the race, but I have family that lives in the area.
Yeah.
And we knew that he was going to be traveling up to visit my family. And the thought did cross my mind to see if we could get tickets, but there were none available.
So there you go. That's another good sign for.
I abandoned it, and that was several months ago. I was trying to plan a trip, and he's a big NASCAR fan. My stepdad was he's from the South Florida area and was into drag racing. He actually drove for a Mopar team. Way back when, and then
wait, who's that?
They actually back in the
that name that you said?
Oh, Vitamin C.
No,
was the name of the Mopar.
Yeah, what is that?
Right, where are they? Yeah, they're not in NASCAR anymore.
I saw nothing.
No, they're not in it
at the track.
They're not in
nothing.
It anymore. Yeah.
It's like they have been erased from history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not in, which is too bad to some degree because of the the vehicles that they built and they were running.
Yeah.
But who knows? They'll get back in it, I'm sure, at some point. We'll see what happens. But if they're watching what's going on around them with their competition, this is if the ratings start coming back, I'm sure they're going to be stepping in, going, "Hey, can we get back in? Can we have our slot back?" So we'll see, or make room. Here we come. So
well, somebody has to finish last, so
that's it, man. That's it. Yeah. Well, that was a great event, man, for you, and what great coverage. Thanks for the visuals on that.
Yeah, well,
that was
thanks.
awesome.
This is my version of coming back with the iMovie that you make everybody watch from your family vacation. I think I just did that to all our listeners.
Right. So, let me just ask this. So, after the whole event and you're done, can you sum it up in just a few words or a word? The experience.
Well, now we went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame on Monday, which is a whole other podcast. But I just wanted to mention, if you didn't know, that Charlotte is sort of the Mecca. That is the home of NASCAR.
Yes, it is.
There's NASCAR stuff everywhere. There's a lot of great other NASCAR themed attractions in other parts of the country, but Charlotte is sort of the hub, if you will. The
birth of NASCAR was out of North Carolina. I mean, most of the early drivers were that area, and NASCAR, so all it started from moonshine running, correct?
I mean, yes, and I would say so. So we have friends now. Some of them are watching and listening to the podcast that got into racing because of one of our other friends that said, "Oh no, you just got to come with us for the weekend." Like I know you've never seen this on TV, and you maybe don't even care about it, or you don't even know who the riders are or the drivers are, but you're coming. Right, and then it turns into this whole, oh wow, we were thinking about buying the new Chevy Blazer, and now I got to sit in one without a salesman standing over me, or
right,
which that was there, or a Toyota, right, or whatever you're into, man. Like there's just some amazing food. There's just I got to see Cheap Trick, like I've been trying to see them. One of the guys that was with us was like, he's a musician. He's like, every time they were in town, I was on the road, I never got to see him. So now I got that box checked,
Wow.
So
that's very cool.
It is a fantastic group event. There are very few things that you can do with a group of your closest friends that will equate to the level of entertainment that you're going to get out of something like this. Yeah. That includes the people watching. That includes the guys in the elevator that I sent you little videos of that sound like Boomhauer. But that also includes.
I'll tell you what. Come on, get her done.
The guy, the pit crews, the tracks, the watching the race, and everything that goes with that. I mean, all of it, man. It's.
Man, I ain't got no accent, man.
So
I ain't got no accent, man.
It is a journey. It is part of just an event.
Yeah, it's and you cannot describe it in a manner that says that NASCAR is for a bunch of Southern people, and that's all they do is they just live and breathe NASCAR. These people are from all over the country coming into these races, and all over the world, actually, because it truly is a sport that has to be dealt with, man. It's not about running around in circles and hanging a coon tail on the antenna on the back, man. That's not what it is. This is real racing here, guys, and it's a lot of fun.
And if Toyota, of all people, can come in and say, we're going to be a part of this, Toyota, okay? Because we know, we all know Toyota got their start in, let me see, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No, it's Alabama's where
of NASCAR. No.
Yeah.
Asian company, right? Like couldn't be further from the Mecca of NASCAR.
That's right.
And now they have recognized the value of that.
Man, I got to tell you, I feel like I was there with you. This has been quite the journey. Describing your trip here.
Thanks. Thanks.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, it probably won't be the last time. So, speaking of events and journeys and live broadcasts, we've got one coming up. It's going to be our 25th podcast. We're going to do a live broadcast.
Yes, we are.
Do you happen to have the date and time in front of you that you could tell everyone when that's going down?
Yes, actually, I do. Yeah, the date's going to be June 26th. That's a Wednesday. And it will start approximately 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Mountain, and, of course, noon. Is that right? Yeah, noon. Yeah, noon Pacific Time. There we go.
I think you got all the United States time zones covered there.
I think I got the time zones down right. That's June 26th.
Now, wait, what if I'm in Terre Haute, Indiana, and they're not on DST? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing, man. Keep rolling. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. You threw me there.
So,
I think they would be on Eastern. Yeah.
So noon Pacific, live from the Union Tavern.
That's correct. One of my favorite watering holes I like to go to when I'm in town.
We may not start at noon, but there will be an announcement. We will go live. Right now the plan is to go live on both YouTube and Facebook.
Right. That ought to be interesting. This is our first venture with that, so it ought to be fun. We'll try to, have some good topics. I think we're going to try to, just have some questions to ask the audience or maybe each other. Who knows? Maybe we'll point out pictures of engine components and try to have people figure out what they are, or just trivia questions about automotive stuff. Anyway, just fun stuff. That's all it is. We just kind of want to have fun with it and see where it goes and see what happens. So, you want me to tell people where they can find us?
Well, now let's do this. In fact, I will take care of. Yes, I do. But let me. So please set a reminder. In fact, if y'all have like the Amazon Echo, just go ahead and hold your phone with the speaker on right now up to, and I'll take care of this for you. Here we go. You ready?
Ready.
Alexa, remind me to listen to the Parts Counter Gurus live podcast on Wednesday, June 26th at noon Pacific time.
Awesome.
Very
good.
You're welcome.
Very
everybody.
well. That's awesome. Pre-recorded, man. There you go. Just record that. That's right. So.
All right. Where can they find us?
Well, first of all, we have a website, and it is www.partscountergurus.com or guru.com. Take your pick. You can do it anyway. You can check us out. We have a podcast link up on our website. It's up at the top of the page somewhere. Anyway, you can when you go to the podcast links, you can click on Apple Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on Stitcher, Google Play, Google Podcast, TuneIn, Spotify, and on all those we are Parts Counter Gurus. We have a YouTube channel, and that is where most of the videos are at. If not all of the videos, Keith and I like to do product reviews and little self-help videos, DIY stuff, and we also like to post up all of our podcasts for your visual and listening pleasure. You never know what Keith might wear on his head.
Subscribe to that, and if we hit 500 subscribers by July 1st...
Oh, that's right. The 500...
2019, I will reveal how I got into the Toyota suite at the Charlotte, at the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, this will maybe not work for the Toyota suite, but you got to remember there was a FedEx suite next to us. I'm trying to think of who was on the other side of us. But you get the picture, right? If you want the kind of access that I got, I'm going to tell you how I did it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And folks, for our listeners, I don't even know how you did it. I have no idea, and I can't wait for the reveal on that.
You can't buy them. So, you cannot go online or go to the race, and I would suspect you're not going to get these from a scalper. I don't think. and you're not going to be
I
able to go to the
find that-
ticket sales, website and like get this ever. Like not.
That's amazing.
It's not like if I go like a year ahead of time. No, doesn't work that way.
I'm anxious to hear how this happened because I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna maybe go next year.
So if you're listening to the podcast, please go also subscribe to it on our YouTube channel, and just know that we offer both there. You can watch and listen, or just listen. If you're driving and listening, that's we appreciate that. Thank you. Don't try to watch while you're driving.
That's why we have all the other things for you to log into. But just the main thing is go to the podcast links on our website.
Yep.
And you can get us at any form of media that you want.
If you're buying anything on Amazon, go to our website, partscounterguru.com, click on the Amazon banner in the top right.
Yep.
And then that will click through to Amazon and you can finish your shopping. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. It doesn't affect the pricing on Amazon. It just gives us credit for referring you. And then whatever you buy, whatever. It could be tear-offs for your NASCAR windshield, or it could be toothpaste, man. I mean, just literally, Goody's headache powder, whatever. If they sell it on Amazon, you click through our website and go buy it.
I bought my my chemical guy's car wash kit by doing that. So, and I'm actually expecting that to arrive today.
I'm excited for you. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. I'm buying the kit, and I'm gonna do a little product review on everything. So that'll be posted up at a later date, but that ought to be fun. So awesome, great job, man. Remember, man, that you can always buy anything that we mention on our podcast through the mentioned on the podcast tab as well.
That's right, on our website.
I don't know what Keith might want to put up there for this particular one. Maybe he's going to raffle off one of those Coca-Cola 600 towels or something too, man.
Remember the old fake can of like peanuts, and you would open it and there was like a snake in it that would like jump out? That was my suitcase because we didn't check any luggage. That was my suitcase on the way back because of all
carry on,
And I was just like, man, if security checkpoint asks to open this, I mean, you got to let them open it. And I just thought it's just going to be literally like one of those like surprise, like spring loaded, like it's just going to shoot out everywhere. There's going to be like Toyota hats everywhere.
It's funny you mentioned that. My first trip to the Apex and SEMA show in Las Vegas many years ago, I didn't know what to expect. But when you get there, you learn real quick of all of the stuff that you can stuff in a bag. And I did the same thing. I didn't prepare for it. Now, when I go, I'm prepared. I carry an extra.
So the veterans that have been to these events before, they like, no, man, it's the 40% rule. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you leave 40% space in that bag for stuff you're going to acquire.
This is true. So,
all right, man.
Awesome.
Who's taking us out today, you or me?
You are. This was your experience.
All right, so until next time, that's Jay over there. I'm Keith. And if you don't chew Big Red, bleep you. I want to watch the race. I don't want to watch them change tires.